Welcome. You're listening to The Crosswalk with Deacon Kevin Endres, a show about living life at the intersection of faith, family, and vocations. And now your host, Deacon Kevin.
Good afternoon. Thanks for tuning into The Crosswalk today and joining us here on the Baraga Radio Network. We're always appreciative that you've taken the time out of your day to spend it with us. I'm your host, Deacon Kevin Endres, and my guest in the studio today is Kirsten Trudeau. Kirsten is a native of Lake Leelanau, Michigan, and she's the oldest of 8 children. She began singing in her parish choir at age 11 and became the organist and music director for her local parish at the age of 15. With the support of her bishop, Kirsten went to Rome in 2015 to study Gregorian chant and is currently in her 3rd year at the Pontifical Institute of Sacred Music. She also serves as the director of music and organist at the Caravita, a church serving English language pilgrims in Rome. Kirsten, welcome to The Crosswalk.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us back in the States, all the way from Rome.
Yes,
so
my
what?
Pleasure.
Yeah, maybe just expand a little bit about exactly what is that you are doing in Rome.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm studying at the Pontifical Institute of Sacred Music. I'm doing the program for Gregorian chant, and Gregorian chant is a type of medieval music. It's the earliest type of music in the church. It dates back all the way to the very early church and actually stems from Jewish liturgy. And we have the earliest recordings of it, the earliest manuscripts are from the 900s, about 900 AD. We also have proofs that it was sung before that, but they didn't actually start getting written down until monasteries started existing. Then they would write it down in their monasteries, and they started coming up with a universal system for writing it down. And this we call now semiology. And so I am studying this semiology, Gregorian semiology in Rome, which is taking these old manuscripts, learning how to read them. So I spent the past 3 years learning how to read these and, trying to understand them. They're written in Old Latin as well. So learning how to read Old Latin, learning how to read this notation, and then how to interpret it into what we can now sing modernly.
Wow, that sounds like a lot. So Gregorian chant, and most of the listeners I would think would be familiar with it, to some degree.
Sure.
But what is it that drew you to sing Gregorian chant? Because it's, I think maybe some people have heard it, maybe they haven't heard it done well, but I think that there is something about, the Gregorian chant that really draws you into the liturgy. Yeah. But what was it that drew you to it?
Yeah. When I was 11, I started singing in the local parish choir, and we did some Gregorian chant. But actually, when I went to Loyola University at age 12 to do a workshop in sacred music put on by the Church Music Association of America. And it was a week long. It's called 7 Days of Music Heaven. I went there, and it totally opened my eyes and inspired me. And I was like, this is amazing. This is what I want to do. Didn't know what I was getting myself into at 12 years old. But when I got home, I started researching, reading all the books I could about Gregorian chant, trying to study it. And then throughout middle school and high school, I would try to find different workshops throughout America and go there. So that took me to New York 1 week, took me to Missouri 1 week. I went to Pittsburgh to Duquesne University 2 weeks, also with the support of Bishop Hebda, and he was very supportive of me doing this. And so I traveled quite a bit going around. I also went to Indianapolis and studied there and learned everything I could in the U.S. However, we don't have these manuscripts. You're really not going to find them in America. So I didn't really understand what I was going to study until I actually got to Rome.
I'd say that's quite a leap, a leap of faith. Essentially, so, well, I like this. I'm going to go there. I'm not quite sure what I'm getting into, but tell us a little bit more about the Pontifical Institute of Sacred Music, where you're studying.
Sure.
What's the purpose? What exactly goes on there? What are they trying to accomplish?
Sure. Yeah. So it was instituted by Pope Pius X in 1910. It opened its doors in 1911, and it just started with priests and religious. The Pope called for missionaries from around the world to come there and study the church's treasury of sacred music to then bring back to their hometowns. And so until the 1970s, it was only priests and religious men. And then in the 1970s, they started allowing women to go there. Now, I'm one of the very few women in this school.